Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I've had this 20-gallon tank empty for quite some time and I wanted to set up something different instead of a heavily planted aquarium or a community tank. I actually wanted to create a miniature underwater world where I could watch natural fish behavior every single day. After researching dozens of species, I kept coming back to one tiny fish with a huge personality. That's when I discovered multis. They are actually called Neolamprologus multifasciatus, but they are better known as multis or shell dwellers. They are the smallest shell-dwelling cichlids from Lake Tanganyika. These fish don't just live in the aquarium, they completely transform it. They don't live in caves or hide in plants, as their name suggests. They live in shells. They dig, excavate, defend territories, raise families, and even build an entire colony right before your eyes. So in this 20-gallon long aquarium, I'm recreating a piece of Lake Tanganyika and giving these tiny engineers a place to call home. I also have this set up right next to my couch in my basement fish room, so I can sit and look at these guys in action up close. So I purchased these 6 young multis from my local pet store and they are now in my quarantine tank. So let's build. So let's start by cleaning the tank and giving it a nice wipe down. Also, I chose a fine sand-like substrate as these guys like to sift them and move them around and create their own aquascape. This is not going to be a heavily planted tank, but still I can't help myself. So I added a little bit of aquarium compost and now I've capped it, and now I'm ready to add a little bit of water before I start the scape. So while the tank fills in, let me just show you the parameters that these guys thrive in. Coming from Lake Tanganyika, they prefer hard alkaline water with high mineral content. pH range ideally from 7.8 to 9. Luckily my tap water is around 8.4, and they like water hardness of 12 to 25 dGH and a KH of 10 to 18. They prefer temperatures of around 75 to 80 and keeping ammonia nitrates to a minimum. I purchased a bunch of shells for them and I already have them in this bucket. They're probably hiding in there. So I decided to add water to the tank and drop the shells in first. I have a rough idea as to what I want to or how I want to scape this tank. So I thought I'll add the shells first and then I'll add the rocks. There's not a lot of aquascape that you could do for a shell dwelling tank because these guys will completely renovate the entire tank once they grow a little bit bigger. So I'm planning to use bigger rocks so that they can't move the rocks around. As I said, I'm adding just few plants here. I absolutely cannot have an aquarium without live plants in them. As you can see, I'm planning to add jungle val and anubias in this setup. Anubias are epiphyte plants, so they need not be buried into the substrate, so I can attach them to the rocks. And jungle val because they're awesome. Let's get the filter in and make sure it's working. There we go. I also got in the heater so that there isn't a lot of difference between the water they were in and the new water that's in this tank. For the artscape, as I mentioned, I chose a few pieces of dragonstone to add texture and create a natural backdrop without taking away the open sandy areas the fish need. The combination of dragonstone, fine sand and plenty of shells should give these tiny cichlids the perfect environment to dig, breed and establish their own colony. As usual, what I thought would take 5 minutes ended up taking much longer. I moved these dragonstones around more times than I'd like to admit, trying to find the perfect arrangement. Eventually, everything started to come together, creating a natural backdrop that adds character without taking away from the open shell dwellers' territory. At least until I change it again next week. Some final tweaks here and there, and here's the finished setup. A bed of fine sand, carefully placed dragonstone, and a field of shells ready for their future residence. Let's make sure the filter and the heater are working fine. So all we have to do now is let the tank settle down. I've also added the shell dwellers with their shells into the tank. They're yet to come out. They probably will take a few hours before they come out. These guys aren't jumpers by any means, but I still wanted to add a lid so that I can minimize the evaporation. So now with the scape finished, I think it's time to just wait for them to feel a little safer and they can venture out. A few hours later, I was able to see them outside exploring their new home. At first, they were a little cautious. You can see they are sticking close to their shells and carefully checking out their new surroundings. But it didn't take long before the curiosity took over. One by one, they began to venture out, exploring the open sand, inspecting the dragonstone, and investing every corner of the tank. Even within the first few hours, their personality started to show. They picked their own shells, and I had 6 of them, and luckily they ended up being 3 pairs, I believe, because I could see them pair off already. And before long, the colony began establishing territories, and this empty aquascape started to feel alive already. I decided to make this a species-only tank so the multis could truly be the focus. This gives them the freedom to dig, claim shells, raise fries, and build a thriving colony without interference from other fish. And a 20-gallon long is the perfect footprint for these guys. It's got more length compared to the height, and these guys prefer to stay close to the substrate. These are just young multis, but I believe they breed quite early. This is my plant holding tank. I have all my plants to grow out from here, and I decided to swap the Anubias here with bigger ones from my plant holding tank. Just because this tank cannot have a lot of plants, I decided to go with the bigger Anubias. So this is the next day, and now that the multis have settled into their home, let's talk a little bit more about what makes these fish so special. Neolamprologus multifasciatus are widely considered the smallest cichlid species in the world, typically reaching just over an inch in length. But what they lack in size, they more than make up in personality. Native to Lake Tanganyika in East Africa, these fishes spend their entire lives around shells. Those shells aren't just hiding places, they're home, breeding sites, and the center of their territory. One of the most fascinating aspects of keeping multis is watching them breed and establish a colony. Unlike many aquarium fish that scatter eggs, multis lay their eggs deep inside the shells where they are protected by the female. Once the eggs hatch, the fries remain safely inside the shell until they are ready to venture out. Even then, they usually stay close to the home while their parents guard the area. What's really interesting is that multiple generations can live together. It's not uncommon to see adults, juveniles, and tiny fry all sharing the same colony. That is what I'm trying to go after. I'm going to let this setup mature for about a year and a half, and I'm hoping to have at least 15 to 20 multis in this colony. As the colony grows, so does their activity. They'll move shells, reshape the sand bed, defend territories, and constantly interact with one another. Every day brings something new to watch. One day they are excavating around the shell, and the next day they are caring for the new batch of fries. Right now, the setup looks exactly how I intended, But if there's one thing I've learned about multis, is that they'll soon have their own ideas about landscaping. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below if you ever kept shell dwellers or if you're thinking about setting up a multi-tank of your own. I'll probably go quiet now and let you enjoy the scape. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.